When it comes to JRPGs, I enjoy them as JRPG as possible. Long, full of complex combat, and grindy. Seeing as Bravely Default 2 is about as JRPG as they come in 2021, I'm really into it. The amount of grinding it demands can definitely be a tough hill to climb, but there are plenty of smart features in play that make those long stretches about as painless as they can be without losing the feeling of accomplishment. Also, this world is simply beautiful, and I loved every minute of exploring it. This roughly 60-hour story is like a refrigerator magnet poetry set of Square Enix cliches. You're not just fighting evil, you're fighting the ultimate evil, and you're doing it as a team called the Heroes of Light. While it may be a formulaic and breezy tale, it's still an entertaining one, and that's pretty much just what I want from a classic-style JRPG. And with such great gameplay mechanics underneath, I didn't miss the storytelling depth. It also means you don't need to dust off your 3DS to brush up on the events of Bravely Default or Bravely Second, since the stories stand on their own. Bravely Default 2's watercolor visual style is a double-edged sword. Its overworld and many of the towns you visit are jaw-droppingly beautiful. I mean, just look at this. Character and monster design, on the other hand, can be less appealing. It just hasn't translated well for the Switch's higher resolution and larger screen, and as a result, they often look out of place among the otherwise gorgeous watercolor backdrops. The battle and job systems are where I found most of my joy while playing Bravely Default 2. Which don't diverge much from the tried and true formulas of the previous games. Combat is all about the choice of whether to set a character to Brave to gain extra moves during your current turn, or Default to adopt a defensive stance while you build up extra turns to use with Brave later on. Knowing when to bank and when to let it all loose is crucial to your success in battles, and there's a lot of nuance to that decision. Bravely Default's excellent job system also returns to add another layer of flexibility to battles. Job bonuses range from simple things like magical and physical buffs to more game-changing abilities like the monk's bare-knuckle combat ability that turns a character's fists into powerful weapons. Mixing and matching them among my characters led to hours of productive experimentation. You've really got to get the hang of these systems because the excellent boss battles can be terrifically challenging. For the most part, the first half of the campaign has you finding and fighting bosses who hold items that unlock the different jobs. I spent over an hour fighting one of these earlier bosses, which was a lot. But the satisfaction of winning a hard-fought battle makes it all worth it. There are tons of side quests in Bravely Default 2 also, but the overwhelming majority I came across were just slight variations on basic fetch quests. However, there can be pretty excellent rewards for some of them, including a few of the jobs themselves being unlocked this way, so they're usually worth putting up with. So make sure to ask around when you're in a town. If you're turned off by the thought of grinding for experience in a JRPG, then Bravely Default 2 might be a hard sell for you. But for me, hey, there was almost a relaxing delight to leveling up my party with battle after battle. I spent some of my time grinding in handheld mode while watching YouTube videos or right before bedtime, making it feel like a positive time waster rather than time wasted. But yeah, there were long stretches where I barely had to use my brain. Thankfully, you can increase the game speed up to 4 times to shorten those moments, and even swap the difficulty at will if you prefer more challenge to your grind, or you just want to get past a particularly tough battle. I only changed to easy once, because I was getting annoyed with a certain late game optional boss, but other than that, I just played on normal. Regardless of difficulty, there's no shortage of things to experience here. Bravely Default 2's story, along with stopping to smell the occasional side quest, took me about 65 hours to complete. Although, that figure was padded out significantly by grinding. It definitely has its ups and downs in that time, but it maintains a comforting familiarity throughout, and avoiding spoilers, the way it all played out at the end left me both smiling and a little surprised. And in spite of the fact that I've beaten the main story, there is a ton more side stuff to do. Bravely Default 2 is a long, familiar journey with excellent customizable combat and job systems that let you make your party and your playthrough truly your own. Its character and enemy art that was excellent on the 3DS doesn't translate all that well to the higher resolution of the Switch, but the beautiful backdrops and environments get a massive boost and look fantastic. And while the grind is real and repetitive fetch quests abound, it's so easy to pick up and put back down that it feels like less of a grind and more of a constructive way to kill some time. With plenty of old school sensibilities and tons of improvements on the formula, Bravely Default 2 is almost everything I crave from a JRPG outside of a grand story. For more Nintendo Switch JRPG goodness, make sure to check out our review of Dragon Quest XI and Octopath Traveler. And for everything else, stick with IGN.